Host of Timcast, Tim Pool joins me now. Tim, we're awaiting Erica Kirk's remarks, which should be incredibly emotional and extremely powerful. In the meantime, tell us what you know about this shooter.
Well, I know much of what you have reported, what everyone's reporting, the statements that were made to The Guardian that he was a leftist. Someone has posted a video claiming to have gone to school with him, and they called him your typical Redditor. And anybody who's familiar with the social platform Reddit knows it is dominated by liberal left ideology. But what's interesting now is there is this gaslighting campaign among prominent liberals to claim that this guy's actually a right-winger, that he's from a Christian conservative family who loved guns, and in fact, he attacked Charlie for not being conservative enough. And they've tried making similar claims pertaining to the man who tried to kill Donald Trump, Crooks, in Pennsylvania. But it is absolutely absurd. I've been dealing with this since the beginning of my career. I have dealt with physical assault attacks from the left, from violent extreme leftists. We call them the Black Bloc back during Occupy Wall Street. This was covered extensively when I was actually championed by the left for documenting Occupy Wall Street, and I was physically attacked by leftists. Even to this day, the death threats that we receive, the security that I have to have every day, it's tremendous. And I don't see the same thing among my liberal counterparts. They don't require the same degree of security. So it's a gaslighting campaign, in my opinion, because in order to maintain the lie, the right is more violent. They do several things. They try to gaslight us in situations like this, that a conservative would shoot Charlie Kirk. He was the greatest tool in the arsenal of conservative values. And they go online, they use these NGOs, these nonprofits, to claim that a run-of-the-mill moderate conservative is the same thing as a white supremacist who wants to overthrow the government. They are so far removed from each other. That's the game they're playing now because they don't want to take responsibility for the rhetoric. The rhetoric they say every day when they accuse us of being Nazis or fascists or far right. They say this so that, as you've already pointed out, when the violence happens, no one likes a Nazi, right? But let me add this. I think the reality now that I've unfortunately had to deal with, that we are all seeing, is that this man who shot Charlie was much closer to mainstream Democrat than any of us wanted to believe. I woke up to posts on Instagram from people that I thought were my friends that I have known for years. And mind you, they're liberal, but I always considered them to be moderate liberals, not particularly active. And they're posting messages saying Charlie deserved it. He got the world he wanted. And they know who I am, and they know that he was my friend. And I don't understand how these relationships can be repaired. Even friends of mine who are not political, who are telling me I'm sorry, this happened, they're saying on their Facebooks, there are people posting celebrating this that they didn't even realize were political, and I don't know how we recover from that.
So how did that culture begin? You're familiar with the internet, you're familiar with Antifa, you understand the militancy that you see and you encounter when you go into these precincts. This kid, raised with good parents, it seems like, lives a normal life in Utah. How did he snap like that?
It's really hard to know, but I talked about it quite a bit in my research. I'll try and keep it as succinct as I can. The algorithms of social media starting in the late 2000s, in LexisNexis data, you can see the words like racism, white supremacy, fascism skyrocket in their usage in mainstream newspapers and online publications. This was likely due to the big tech platforms prioritizing algorithmic feeds. That is, they were going to show you content that got more engagement. And to the average person, a story of injustice and racism generated anger. Anger is the most likely to generate some content to be shared. It's the most likely to make someone share content. And so what we instantly saw were websites that were posting articles, say, about politics, realize if they write about police brutality, racism, or some kind of social injustice, they will get substantially more clicks, shares, and in turn, money. There was a really good example. It was reported, Mike.com, for instance, originally started as a Ron Paul libertarian website. But as they began posting police brutality videos and made more money off it, the narrative shifted towards left-aligned ideology. Now, what do you think happens to a young man who is 13 years old on Facebook or on one of these other platforms, and the algorithm is showing them nothing but social injustice, leftist ideology, and they may be normal, They may be in a Christian conservative family, but every day they open their apps, whatever platform they be using, they see nothing over and over again. Racism, white supremacy, racism, over and over. And they see these messages from Democrats saying, we can't tolerate this, we can't let them win. Eventually, their whole world, they live in a paranoid, delusional state where they would accuse Charlie of being racist, of advocating for slavery, exemplified, in fact, by Stephen King posting that Charlie Kirk had advocated the stoning of gays, which he never did, and Stephen King was forced to apologize for. These ideas that they spread through lies and fake news are crazy.
You know why? Because the guy lives alone in a cabin in the woods in Maine and just stares at a screen all day. I mean, he's like the perfect example of someone getting spun up by these demonic forces online. That's very interesting analysis. Thank you so much. This is even a more challenging issue than I even understood. We appreciate it, Tim.
Thanks for having me.